say we don't know how to marry, we just dey worry. Daddies, them say all we do is to run away from the babies. Daddies, every day we do this and that. Them say we no be responsible. No be everybody day like that. It just be funny cause if man no day, if papi no day, then waiting we get. If man no day, if man no day, how we go exist? Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to every man when they fight for their responsibility. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to every man when they do everything for the family. Yeah. Who say man no day? So who say man no day? Say if man no day, if papi no day, then waiting we get. If man no day, if man no day, me then you no go day. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to every man when they fight for their responsibility.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yes.
Happy Father's Day to every man when they do everything.
Oh, okay. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yisrael, and to you, Chris, who makes me sound better. Happy Father's Day to all you out there. And even my father, who of course passed away with third grade education and 6 children, did the best he could with that third grade education. Alcoholic, but still came home and took care of 6 children, of which at least 2 of them wasn't his, biologically, including me. But that's the only father I know. So they call this the 19th of June. Also want to give a shout out to Brother Davis, who comes on after this show. Happy Father's Day to that righteous man. Now, so today's broadcast, another good one. Nawia HaShaker. Nawia HaShaker, the false prophet. Now, with the false prophet, we talked last week about the remnant. And we learned last week that the remnant, based on all the scriptures that I told you, and you're going to need your pen and paper again today, because there's a whole lot of scriptures. So, in all those scriptures I gave last week, we learned that the remnant, the very addition of the word means what remains, what is left. And we've always been attacked, and they've taken the brightest of us, and they left what was left. That's the remnant. Well, the same thing is going to happen in the last days. And the remnant are women, children, old men, lame, widows, fatherless, and the strangers. But they also would be priests. And then from this study, it looks like that the priests will be the Edomites. Edomites will be the priests. So they'll be the remnant. It won't be the Hebrews, but that's the remnant. And that is what Yahweh is going to use as his warriors. So let's revisit some of those scriptures. Psalms 8:2 says that Yahweh shows his power through babes and infants. That's in Psalm 8:2. Babes and infants. Psalm 10:14-18. Yahweh, the remnant, he are the helpless and the oppressed. And this makes sense because Yahweh said in Matthew 5:5 that the meek are the ones that's going to rule the earth. The meek, not the rich and mighty, strong and proud. It is the meek, because those are the ones who are the remnant in the last days. But let's read Ezra 9:8-5 about this remnant. Just doing a quick recap. And Ezra 8:9-8-15. Of the sons of Sheba of Zediah, the son of Michael, and him with 8 males. I'm wondering if I'm reading the right one. 9. Nope, I'm not. Here we go. And now, for a little while, grace has been shown from Yahweh, Almighty One, to leave us a remnant, to escape and to give us a peg in his Kodesh place, that Almighty One may enlighten our eyes and give us a measure of revival in our bondage. Now going down to 15. O Yahweh Elohim of Israel, you are righteous, because you are left as a have left as a remnant as it is this day. Here we are before you in our guilt, though no one can stand before you because of this. Now, talking about Daddy's Day, it's the toughest job that you can ever have. Just ask Yahweh. You want to talk about how tough this job is? If you say it's not tough, ask Yahweh how tough this job is. So he's saying here in Ezra 9, 8, and 15 that Yahweh has left the remnant, he left us to be an enlightenment for the world. And that not because we are righteous, because he is the only one that is righteous. He is a good father. Isaiah 11 and 11 and 16, Yahweh's going to set up a highway for us to get back to Zion. Just like he made us go dry shod coming out of Misraim, we're going to go dry shod in the greater Exodus. Ezekiel 14:22, the remnant are sons and daughters. Now, one of the things about this remnant, remember, we talked about how the remnant are not counted. They weren't counted in the two scriptures I gave you last week, and they're not going to be counted in the last days. That's why Yahweh says, don't even measure the outer court, because the outer court is going to be filled with innumerable amounts of his seed, like the stars of the skies and like the sands of the seas. They are not counted. This is why when Yahweh did a census, not once but twice, coming out of Misraim, he only counted the men of war. When Yahweh counts his people, he's only counting men, and he's counting the men for war. So it's not 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 3-year-olds. Men of war. This is why the 144,000 were counted, because they are going to be at war with Yahweh against the 200 million man army, Gog and Magog battle. So the remnant are not counted. And in Joel 2:32, I want to actually read that. Let's go ahead and still talking about this remnant before we go into this false prophet. And now we're going to read in Joel 2:32. Hopefully I get it right this time. And it will come to pass that whoever calls on the name of Yahweh will be saved. Because in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there will be deliverance. And as Yahweh has said, among the remnant whom Yahweh calls. Yahweh calls the remnant, and they call on him. The remnant call on the name of Yahweh. And Micah 4:7 says, these remnant, these are the lame. The lame. These are the outcasts, the ones who are discarded and lightly regarded. Zephaniah 3:13. Zephaniah 3:13. The remnant of Israel will do no unrighteousness and speak lo shaker, no lies, nor will a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth, because they will feed their flocks and lie down, and no one will make them afraid. The remnant, again talking about how they have a pure tongue. They call on the name of Yahweh and they don't lie. Key word, they don't lie. And remember, we're going into this false prophet thing we're going to talk about today. So the remnant call on the name of Yahweh. They're the outcast and they don't lie. Now go to Zechariah 8:12-7. Zechariah 8:12-7. For the seed will be prosperous, the vine will give its fruit, the ground will give her increase, and the heavens will give her their due. I will cause a remnant of this people to possess all these. And it will come to pass that just as you were a curse among the nations, O house of Yehuda and O house of Yisrael, so I will save you, and you will be a blessing. Do not fear. Let your hands be strong. Be strong, Yisrael. Well, thus says Yahweh Shabbaot. You say Yahweh of hosts. Just as I determined to punish you when your fathers provoked me to wrath, says Yahweh Shabbaot, I will not relent. So again, in these days, I am determined to do Tob, to do good to Jerusalem and to the Bayet of Yehuda. Do not fear. Again, he's saying, do not fear. These are the things that you will do. Speak each man the truth to his neighbor. That's 3 times now. Give judgment in your gates, because truth, justice, and shalom. Truth, truth, truth. Let none of you think evil in your heart against your neighbor, and do not love a false oath, because all of these are things that I hate, says Yahweh. You see how this common thread that Yahweh talking about truth. Don't give a false oath. Speak truth to your neighbor. This is peace, and this is acknowledgement and resonates with Yahweh, because he hates lies. Now, Ezekiel 37 is powerful, because in here you got the valley of dry bones, then it goes into the 2 sticks of how we marry back up with Yehuda. So I'm not going to read all that, but in the valley of dry bones, we know that it becomes, Yahweh gathers those bones up, and it becomes a mighty strong army. But when you look at it on the surface, when you first see it, what army will be afraid to go up against a whole valley of dead and very dry bones, the record says. Very dry bones. This shows that only Yahweh can win with something like that. And he does. Don't you remember Gideon and his 300? If Gideon had 300,000 strong, strapping, well-trained and experienced soldiers, he would get the credit for destroying the Philistines. But when you take 300 lightly armed and untrained warriors in their heart, and you win with that, with 300, then of course you cannot say it was Gideon's hand. And this is the same thing in the last days. Yahweh is showing, like it said in Psalm 82, babes and infants. Here in Ezekiel 37, a valley of bones. He makes them strong. Look at our mascot. Our mascot is a lamb, a 1-year-old lamb, a slain one at that. Who in the world is scared of a lamb? You make lamb chops out of lambs. Yahweh is showing that it is him. It is his might. He gets the honor, he gets the glory, and he does this through you. Be proud. Don't keep beating your chest about being Yehuda. You're not. You ain't Yehuda. Be proud that Yahweh, your father, on Father's Day, the good father, chose you, a remnant. You have no power, you have no authority, you're not respected, you're marginalized, you can't even manufacture a bullet. And it's with you that Yahweh is going to crush Hasatan, the accuser's head. You ought to be proud. So now, the thing about it is, each of us is going to have to be in the same position that Mother Hawa and Adam was in. We each are going to, in our lifetime, have to choose between the tree of life and the tree of good and evil. It's that simple. It's just 2 things. And in order to be on point for something so simple, you're going to have not to be deceived. In order not to be deceived, you're going to have to discern Tov Wara, Tov, good and evil. In order to have discernment, you're going to have the fear of Yahweh. And the fear of Yahweh is of understanding and knowing his name. It's the key of knowledge. And with the key of knowledge, you cannot fail in such a simple task as with choosing between good and evil. Each of us have sinned. And to get back to Yahweh, we each are going to face our own sea of reeds. We're going to be faced between a rock and a hard place. Each and individual one of us. This is not something we can hide from. Yahweh's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, and he sees everything. Listen, he is not mocked. Whatever man sows, he will reap. Every man, woman, each one of us is going to end up having to need a miracle in our life to get us through. Because we're going to be faced with opposition. The Egyptians are coming fast, hard, and strong. We have nowhere to turn but to Yahweh. Yahweh is going to make it so that we're going to have to turn to him and believe in him. And when your heart believes in him, then your impossibilities will open up and become realities for you. That sea of reeds will open up for you. Yehonatan Dawit with the hear Yahweh for Christians. Now, We must, in order to get there, what I've just said, we must receive Yahushua personally. You're not going to get in through your mom and your dad. You're not going to get in through YouTube and just being lazy with your relationship with him. Galatians 3:23 and 24. Galatians 3. You're going to have to wipe the dust off of that book, 23 and 24, and it reads, "But before faith came, we were kept under guard by the law, kept for the faith which would afterward be revealed. Therefore, the law was our tutor to bring us to HaMashiach, that we might be justified by emunah, by faith." So we see that in order for you to receive Yahushua personally, Shaul is telling us in this letter to the Galatians, you're going to have to study this word. Study this word because he says it tutors you and directs you directly straight to HaMashiach. That is what I've been saying for years. It helps you to see the trees in the middle of the forest. Studying this word helps give you discernment between Tov Wara, what Mother Hawa did not have. Not knowing that she should have rebuked the accuser in that tree. John 5. See, if we do this, we can't be deceived. It's that simple. We can't be deceived. John 5:24. John 5:24, and I'm going to read all the way down through 29, and then I'm going to read 39 and 40. John 5:24. John 5:24. This is Yahushua himself talking. "Most assuredly I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me." Now he says his word. That means not a whole bunch of words. His collective word. "And who believes in him who sent me has everlasting life and will not come into judgment, but has passed from death into life." You will not come into judgment in these last days. "Most assuredly I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of Yahweh, and those who hear will live. Because as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son to have life within himself, and has given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man. Do not marvel at this, because the hour is coming in which all who are in the graves will hear his voice and come forth, those who have done good to the resurrection of the life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of condemnation." And remember in John 3:18, the person who is condemned is the one who does not believe in the name of Yahushua or believe in Yahweh who sent him. So I want to say this so you won't think it's me making a big deal out of nothing. I'm reading it to you right here. Keep it simple, saints. Believe in Yahushua and the Father who sent him, Yahweh. Believe on the name of Yahushua. Then you will resurrect for grace, not judgment. He said it out of his own mouth. And those who don't believe in him are condemned. He said it out of his own mouth. Let's go down to 39 and 40. You're not hearing this on the pulpit today. You search the scriptures, because in them you think you have eternal life. And these are they which testify of me. But you are not willing to come to me that you may have life. This he is saying to the scribes and the Pharisees. He's saying, you search those scriptures and you think you got life in that. But I just showed you in Galatians where it says it points to him. And the reason why they still didn't understand his word is because they did not see Yahushua in it. When they know the 54 Torah portions. I taught them to you. Go look at them again and look at them again. I did not teach these Torah portions for you to try to get into the kingdom by keeping 613 mitzvot. I taught them that you can see Yahushua in each lesson in the book. The whole book of Moses, each thing in there points to him for grace of eternal life. See how important this is? I was teaching you this last year to bring us to understanding greater the book of Revelations, Daniel and Revelations. These Last days are for deception. You remember, Adam was not deceived. That seed is represented, the seed that represents Adam, they get resurrected. They hear his voice and they go to Hashemayim. What is left, the remnant, have to go through, this is the representative of Mother Hawa's seed. They're going to have to go through again the tree of life and the tree of good and evil. And which one are they going to choose? They have to go through the deception process. They're going to have to go through it again. And this time, are they going to choose what is right, what is told, what is good? And they will if they receive the name of Yahweh, which gives them discernment. Everyone's going to have to go through this who is alive on this earth when Yahweh returns. He said, will he find faith on the earth? Now, this beast, we know the beast is not, again, every time we look up beast and talk about beast, you see this great ugly creature. And it's not about ugliness, it's not about looks. This whole thing about the beast is about its gross misrepresentation of what it originally purports to be. The beast is beautiful, just as beautiful as what is good, what is righteous. But what it does is beastly. What it does has no recognition of the original. Yahweh, this the number one moniker Yahweh called himself is Son of Man. That's what he called himself primarily more than anything else. That means he is original, he is pure, he's authentic, express image of Yahweh. That means there's no mixed seed in him. And the beast is the son of mankind. It is grotesque. It looks good on the surface. It's a lamb, a beautiful innocent lamb, just like Yahweh, which again, going to the Torah portions, when the priest had to have the two goats that look just alike. There's no difference between the two goats. Only Yahweh knew the heart, and the one that was chosen by Yahweh himself. Yahweh chose the goat, not the priest. And that goat that Yahweh chose is the one that had to go out and out into outer darkness. He had to go out to the wilderness. Eventually, Israel started throwing him off the cliff, but that's not what Yahweh told him to do. But they started throwing him off the cliff because the Edomites would sodomize the goat and send him back. But anyway, so mankind looks just like man. He looks just like man, and you cannot discern by the face of it. And it is mankind who gets us distracted with the false machinations of skin color. You have nothing to do with the pigmentation of your skin. We're going to talk about that a little bit when we go on here. So I'm keep revisiting this because that thing going on at the Garden of Eden was the first drag queen. You had Hasatan, the accuser, who is male. Everything in Hashemayim is male. So all the fallen angels, Hasatan, are male. So you had him inside of a female serpent. And the serpent is the closest thing to man. He walked like man and he moved like man. He's the only creature to move like man. And then Hasatan entered him with his serpentine spirit. Well, entered her because the woman is the weaker sex. So he beguiled the female serpent just like he beguiled the female man, Eve, who is of man. So that was girl talk in that Garden of Eden. That was the first drag queen. So this is the Jezebelian spirit to this day. Fast forward to Jezebel. Then from there you got Isabella, who was the earmarked the transatlantic slave trade. The Jezebelian spirit seeks to erode the family. And we talk about here Father's Day. She chooses a Hebrew father. She wants a righteous man, but one who is more giving and weaker. And then she rules with a man's spirit the home, to seek to erode the home. And the last days, this beast is a system that receives same thing you would see in modern family. Man and man, woman and woman. Anything that erodes, and even black power, and even all these false homages to your so-called blackness. Nothing about family building. It's very liberal doctrine. It's a non-Hebrew doctrine, and it's led by women and by gay homosexuals. This is the Jezebelian spirit. This is the beastly system in the last days. That is, and if you're looking at the scriptures of it, this will be the beastly system headed by a white female, what you would call white female. Under this white female Jezebelian beastly system, you're going to have the anti-Messiah, which looks like to me in scriptures will be headed by a black female. Surprise, huh? And then you're going to have, well, next week I'm planning on talking about the false Messiah, which the Bible calls the Assyrian. That will be a white male. And then you have the false prophet we talk about today, which, based on what I'm reading here, looks like will be a black male. And all these things only matter because the accuser has set everyone up to look at skin color and sexes instead of looking at who your daddy is. Is your father Yahweh, or is it the accuser, HaSatan? Let's look at 1 John. 1 John 2:22. Remember, the last days is all about deception. With same thing that happened in the Garden of Eden, Mother Hawa was deceived. Deceived by what she looked at and what she saw. And it was beautiful what she saw. 1 John 2:22. Now realize we are set up because you got a white male who gave you your first black Supreme Court justice. Being a Supreme Court justice is the best job to have in the world. You leave when you want to leave. You have to die or decide to leave. So now you got your black female. You already had Pope Francis gave you your first black cardinal last year. I bet that got past you in the news. You got your first black cardinal. That means you got your first black pope coming up. So you got your first black pope coming up, because in order to be a pope, you had to be a cardinal. You already got a black female in the White House, and she's married to a Jew. So you got your, and that president could be dead any moment. Every time I see him, look, he's about to kill over. And if that happens, you got a black female president. You already got a black male pope, cardinal, who could be a pope. And you got a black female Supreme Court justice. All this, all set up, and everything is just coming together like the perfect storm for your deception. But you had to have discernment. It's simple. Keep it simple, saints. 1 John 2:22. 1 John 2:22. Who is a liar? Remember, the remnant don't lie. Who is a liar? But he who denies that Yahweh HaMashiach. He is an anti-Messiah who denies the Father and the Son. That is not Yahonathan Dawi saying that. Right here from the book, from Yachanan, who laid on the Messiah's chest, whom Yahweh loved. It was the one he loved more than anyone else. He says, if you deny Yahweh, there was no Jesus. You are anti-Messiah. Let's go over to chapter 4 and verse 3. 4 and verse 3. And every spirit that does not confess that Yahweh HaMashiach has come in the flesh is not of Yahweh. And this is the spirit of the anti-Messiah, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world. So it's not me. And what is the anti-Messiah? What is the false prophet? The false prophet in 1613, he has an unclean spirit of frogs. He has in 1613, I'm not going to go there, Reverend 1613, he has an unclean spirit of frogs. Yachanan is saying right here, this unclean spirit is a spirit of lies. It's going to deny Yahweh Shua. It's going to deny him and his father. Just came here on Daddy's Day to tell you that. 2 John 1 and 7. Let's stick right, since we're already in John. 2 John 1 and 7. It's that simple. And it reads, for many deceivers have gone out into the world, and who do not confess Yahweh HaMashiach. They're deceivers. As coming in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an anti-messianic. This whole thing about deception has always been going on since the Garden of Eden. Everything happens in the history of the world and it's repetitive patterns. Every generation goes through its apocalypse. Every generation goes through is beastly system, is anti-Messiah, and is false prophet. Every generation has all of these in place. It is up to Yahweh to say, okay, let it go forward. It's up to Yahweh. Just like when he hardening Pharaoh's heart. It was up to Yahweh to end it when it was time for it to end. He could have let Pharaoh quit after 3 plagues, 4 plagues, 7 plagues. But he wanted to go to the 10th plague to see the fullness of the evilness of his heart. For him to see and for us to see it. Why let him tap out before his time? And each generation, can you imagine the generation going through it not being pressed to look for the bridegroom? Then the way you live your life will not be the same if you know he's not coming for another 1,500 years or 3,000 years or 100 years or after your lifetime. Each generation must be pressed. Each generation must be sober. Each generation must be vigilant, because everything I'm saying here is true. It doesn't mean the anti-Messiah is going to come on this Jubilee year or 49 years from now. It doesn't mean that. It means that everything is in place right now for Yahweh to come. Yahweh showed the bridegroom to return. Right now, he is justified coming this day. He is always justified to come. But as a current, today, teacher of this word, I'm going to let you know who are your potential ones now. I even told you, look at Archie. Look at baby Archie. From Meghan and Harry. I already told you that. And like I said, you got Kamala Harris, you got your vice president who could be president, you got your black cardinal who could be pope, you got the black woman, the Supreme Court justice, you got it all set up, all ready for deception. Here and now, crises of COVID, food shortages, and high gas prices. This is our apocalyptic time. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but it could. So you need to wake up every day praising Yahweh. Because remember, the last day for you is the last time you draw your breath. So it doesn't matter when Yahweh comes. This day we must live righteously. This day we must live soberly. This day we must live in the love of Yahweh and his image. Proverbs 6:17 and 19. So we go into a book of wisdom here. There's wisdom in every book. But y'all don't want to hear it. Most people don't want to hear it. And I try to give it to you every week. I do the best that I can. Proverbs 6:17 and 19. This is what Yahweh hates. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, and a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among the brethren. Now, don't you think that if Yahweh hates something, that you're supposed to hate it? If he says he hates lying lips, a lying tongue, a false witness, if he says he hates that, shouldn't you hate it? So can you look in the mirror and look and say, should we be calling on the salvation of our soul, Jesus Christ? Is it true or is it not? Is it true or is it a lie? Is it a false witness? But what is the preacher preaching about today? What name is he calling on? Is he a true witness or is he a false prophet? Based on this book, he's a false prophet. Yahweh hates lies. Jeremiah 14:14. Jeremiah 14:14. It's that simple. It's not hard. It's not hard. And Yahweh said to me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I have not sent them, commanded them, nor spoke to them. They prophesy to you a false vision, divination, a worthless thing, in the deceit of their heart. Key, they're going to prophesy false and lies in the name of Yahweh. Because remember, the knowledge is increasing does not mean the knowledge of technology. It means the knowledge of the name of Yahweh. Now, everybody's getting Yahweh's name right, but they're not getting his son's name right. But in this last days, you're going to have, and it's right now today. It's been there. Go onto your social media and see all these lies in the name of Yahshua's name. Yeshua and Yahweh and Yahshua and all these other nonsensical names from men and women who've never studied Hebrew. All they used was their two thumbs to do their research on their smartphones. So the last days is not going to be trying to choose between Yahweh and Jesus. It's going to be between Yahweh and Yeshua and Yahashua and Hashem and all these other false names. They're going to give you the false Hebrew names. You're going to have men and women prophesying in the false Hebrew names. Ezekiel 22 and 28. Talking about the false prophet. Ezekiel 22 and 28. Her prophets plastered them with untempered mortar, seeing false visions and divining lies for them, saying, "Thus said the sovereign Yahweh," when Yahweh has not spoken. Now what Israel was doing was letting the Edomites be their head. So you got false prophets, the same ones that Yahweh was debating with back and forth, who they call them Hashem, or they call them, they're mutilating the Hebrew version of his name. So do not even follow everyone who calls on a Hebrew name. That's not going to be the delineating marker. That's not going to be it. The discernment is going to be one who loves truth and hates lies. You're going to have to love truth and hate lies. If you love truth, you're not going to follow the Lord God Jesus Christ. What's wrong with getting it right? I like to have somebody just call in and tell me scripturally what is wrong with getting it right. What's wrong with just saying what's true? So you teach your child the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy, and then they get older, you tell them it's not true. I remember in kindergarten arguing with people. No, it's God, Jesus, and then Santa Claus. I had Santa Claus third on the hierarchy of righteousness because I was taught that. Oh, and then you learn later it's not true. Well, what else the parents are teaching you is not true? What's wrong with telling the truth? No matter how much it hurts and no matter how unpopular it makes you. And I am very unpopular. You think I give a flip? I'm not going to change what I say on this microphone because people don't want to believe the truth. Matthew 24 and 24. I couldn't even live with myself. How I'm going to pray lying to you so I can get more likes. Matthew 24 and 24. Yahweh speaking. For false messiahs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Because it's very rudimentary to fool with Jesus and Yahshua. But the elect, they're going to be looking for the Hebrew Messiah. And you're going to have people looking for a black Messiah. So he has to be black, right? Because you've been told that. The same man who told you you were naked is the same one who told you was black. Do not be deceived because somebody black coming in your face talking about Yahweh. That is a high level of deception. This is why I wanted to make it clear about how you have black female, black male, and white male. Everybody in these different positions for different deceptions. And you're going to be surprised. This is why you're going to have a false Messiah. We're going to talk about that next week. You haven't heard that from anywhere else. I know you haven't. Not in the Hebrew camps. The false Messiah. Everything is set up for deception. Remember, the World Health Organization is one who has supersedes your United States Constitution. Biden gave up your rights, your constitutional rights, to the World Health Organization. But you were too busy paying tithes unto Jesus Christ to even hear that. You're not hearing deep stuff from your pulpits on Sundays. You're not hearing even this deep stuff from a lot of your Hebrew preachers. I'm not hearing it. But this deception by your Edomite leaders that you put up over you is deep. It's deep. It goes deeper than you can realize. Ezekiel 22 and 28. So I read that one. Now, Acts 13 and 6. Acts 13 and 6. I told you to get your paper and pen out. Acts 13 and 6. Now when they had gone through the island to Paphos, they found a certain sorcerer a false prophet, a Nawia HaShaker, a Hebrew, whose name was Bar, or should I say Ben Yahweh. This says, your Bible says Bar, but Bar is Hebrew is Greek for Ben. Ben, or actually Bane. Bane is the real way to say it, and that means son. Son what? Your Bible says Jesus, that's Yahweh. And who was he? A Hebrew. I just got finished saying that. So do not think you get a Hebrew brother out there calling himself Yahshua, that's going to be the Messiah. Right here in Acts 13 and 6 is telling you that. Do not be deceived by your eyeballs, Eves. Do not be deceived by your eyeballs. Discern, shamar, hear with your ears. Faith is increased by hearing. Deception comes through seeing. Hear what I'm saying and have your faith increased. Galatians 2 and 4. And it reads, Galatians 2 and 4. And this occurred because of false brethren secretly brought in, who came in by stealth to spy out our liberty, which we have in Messiah Yahweh, that they might bring us into bondage. So even in our Hebrew camps, you got fake brothers and sisters coming in to divide the camps. How? By trying to infuse the beauty of the law as the way of salvation. And it is not. This is the highest level of deception. Using the law, Yahweh's law, for deception. The beauty of Yahweh's law. This is what the Jezebelian beastly system is going to promote. And it's going to look good. And why not follow? Especially when the false Messiah kills the false Messiah. Then you're going to look like, hey, that's got to be the real Messiah. He just killed the false Messiah. You're going to have to tune in next week. So we see we got brothers, whom you call brothers. That's why you got to stop with this black power and all this kind of nonsense. It's not about that. You're not united on color, or what they call color. You are united in the love of Yahweh. Colossians 2 and 20. Colossians 2. And I'm going to read 20 to 23. And it reads, therefore, if you died with Mashiach from the basic principles of the world, why, as though living in the world, do you subject yourselves to regulations? Do not touch, do not taste, do not handle, which all concern things which perish with the using, according to the commandments and doctrines of men. These things, indeed, have an appearance of wisdom, and self-imposed religion, false humility, and neglect of the body, but are of no value against the indulgence of the flesh. So you're going to have to read the whole thing of Colossians, because don't anybody get anything twisted. That don't mean you go out there and you start murdering people. Hey, the law says don't murder, we don't keep the law. No. Don't start there having girlfriends on the side from your wife. That's not what it's saying. It is saying that you, and this is an intimate personal relationship you have with Yahweh Shua, not one, a generic one of law abiding, because you will always fail. You will always fall short trying to get into the pearly gates because of your resume. Your resume is not going to get it. Number one, you are housing Yahweh's blood. And you were not created with blood. Tell me where else where you heard that. And I gave you 8 or 9 scriptures on that. You were not created with blood. So you're keeping this law, 613 mitzvot, all you want. You're keeping it with Yahweh's blood in your body. And that's the commandment of coveting, the foundation of all the other 9. They all rise up on top of that one. The foundation of law breaking is coveting. Hasatan coveted Yahweh's position, and from there on he lied, which is the 9th commandment, and goes on from there. Isaiah 8 and 20. See how that thing works? When you can keep it simple, and then it helps you to understand the more complex things. I give you the simple things, and then I give you something more complicated for you to chew on. Isaiah 8 and 20. I told you, you got a lot of scriptures here. I don't run my mouth. I back it up with the word, and I explain it. by the hawk my Yahweh gave me, to the law and to the edut, the testimony. If they do not speak according to this debarim, it is because there is no no light in them. They must speak according to this word I just gave to you of what an anti-Messiah is, what a false prophet is. To the law and the testimony. So it didn't say you don't have the law and you don't have the and matter of fact, from cover to cover, every time this book talks about edut, talks about testimony, it's talking about Yahweh without exception. Every time. So here in the so-called Old Covenant, the so-called Old Testament, it's saying to the law and to the edut of who the law speaks to. It speaks to Yahweh. If you don't abide according to that, there's no light in you. You know, light helps you to see, since you'd like to be seeing everything. Colossians. Let's go back to Colossians. I should have stayed over there, but that's fine. I just wanted to get that in there. Because they had to speak according to this word that I'm giving you. Ain't no stop with this false healing and this empty grace and this wealth doctrine. Wealth doctrine is a waste of time, because wealth is not going to keep hailstones from coming down, and it's not going to keep you from deception. Colossians 1:20. I hate the wealth doctrine, and so does Yahweh. And by him to reconcile all things to himself, by him, whether things on earth or things in heaven, having made a shalom through the blood of the tree. I kept telling you for years, Yahweh is the X-Man. He is the X-Man. All things come through Yahweh. This is why I wanted to go to Isaiah 8:20. Because to the law and to the testimony, it don't speak to this word, is no light in them. The word speaks to Yahweh. This is why he told the scribes and Pharisees, you think you got eternal life in there, then how come you're not accepting me? You argue with me about healing on the Sabbath day, washing hands, and all this kind of nonsense. You're not recognizing me, you're not acknowledging me, then you have no life. It's only as simple as two trees, tree of life, tree of good and evil. Keep it simple, saints. Keep it simple. 1 Kings 13:18. I'm going from what you call the old and I'm going to the new. I'm going back and forth with this word. You're going to have to go to the YouTube channel and take your time and read this thing. And listen to this thing again. 1 Kings 13:18. He said to him, I too am a prophet as you are. And an angel spoke to me by the word of Yahweh, saying, bring him back to you, to your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. He was lying to him. So we got a man of Yahweh who was being lied to by another prophet. A prophet who was a lying prophet, who deceived him. And then when the man of Yahweh, if you read the whole story, followed him, he ended up later, after eating and drinking with him, got eaten by a lion. Lion representing Yahweh. So this is a man who was an actual prophet lying to another prophet. So why did I want to bring that up? Because Galatians 1:1 through 10. See, I keep going from the old to the new and see how they support one another and how they play off of one another. Galatians 1:1 through 10. Paul, an apostle, not from men, through man, but through Yahweh HaMashiach and Yahweh the Father, on Father's Day, who raised him from the dead, and to all brethren who are with me, to the believers in Galatia, grace to you and peace from Yahweh the Father of our Master Yahweh HaMashiach, who gave himself for our sins, that he might deliver us from this present evil age, according to the will of Yahweh our Father, to whom be honor, glory forever. Amen. Wow. He's emphasizing Yahweh, who is our Father. Ain't no job harder than being a father. None. Just ask Yahweh. And he's saying he has a man, Yahweh HaMashiach, and that everything goes through him. This is his letter coming to, and he said he's got this information. We know that Shaul went straight to heaven, and he came back to give us this message. In verse 6, I marvel that you are turning away too soon from him who called you in the grace of HaMashiach to a different Besorah, which is not another, but there are some of you who trouble you and want to pervert the Besorah of Yahweh. But even if we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you than that was preached to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone preaches any other Besorah gospel to you than what you have received, let him be accursed. Because do I now persuade men or Yahweh, or do I seek to please men? Because if I still please men, I would not be a bondservant of Yahweh. Didn't Isaiah said to the law and to the testament, don't speak according to this word, there's no light in them. If you don't speak according to this word, I don't care if an angel from heaven comes and says something different than Yahweh, the son of Yahweh, he is accursed. And Shaul decided to come down here and tell us this. Remember, Yahweh spoke to him in heaven. He went to the third heaven. And he said he didn't get this word from a man. He opened the letter to the Galatians to tell them that. He said he got this word straight from heaven. And I'm telling you the same thing. I'm repeating what's written right here. That if anybody comes to you with anything different, he's a false prophet. He's a liar, and he's supporting the beast. Matthew 5, 17 and 18. How are we going to delineate this thing? It's simple. But how? It's so simple. Matthew 5, 17 and 18. Yahweh, I have to give you a lot of scriptures. Yahweh talking himself. Do not think that I am come to destroy the law and the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Remember, he was between the law and the prophets. He was between the law and the prophets when Peter, James, and John saw him. For surely I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass away from the law till all is fulfilled. That means it will pass away when everything is fulfilled. Whoever therefore breaks one, well, that's all I want to read right there. So, heaven and earth is still here. The law is still here, pointing to him. So let's go ahead and see what law is he talking about. Is he talking about you better go ahead and make sure you get circumcised and you gotta wash your hands a certain way and you gotta do all this? Let's see what he is talking about. Let's not go by what I say. John 13, 34 and 35. Because I don't have an opinion. I'm reading things from the book. The book you might have cobwebs and dust on. John 13, 34 and 35. Again, Yahweh talking. So this is coming straight from his mouth. A new commandment I give to you, that you, Ohab, love one another, as I have Ohab you, as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciple if you have love for one another. Coming from the man who created you, his mouth said that you are his disciple, and others will know you are his disciple if you love him and love one another. That's the commandment he said will not pass away. That's the commandment he says to keep. But you need more witnesses. 1 John 3 and 11. 1 John 3 and 11. Because some people still are not believing. They're still not getting it. The Hebrews are not getting it. The Hebrews out there think you got to wear tzitzits. Wear your tzitzits. But you ain't saved by them. Wear them. Keep Shabbat righteously. Keep Shabbat every day. Don't look at the clock as soon as Shabbat is over, then you start turning on the TV and getting drunk. 1 John 3:11. For this is the message that you have heard from the beginning, not New Testament, that we should love one another. This is not new. Oh, you say, no, that's New Testament? Okay. Deuteronomy 6:5. Deuteronomy 6:5. This is not a new thing. Here's in the Moshe. You will love your Yahweh, your mighty one, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. So this is why Yeshua says in Matthew, I'm going back and forth. Now let's go back to Matthew. See, that was Old Testament, right? Let's go back to Matthew as my time is running out. And let's go to Matthew 22. Matthew 22. Yahweh 34 to 40. But when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees and they gathered together, then one of them, a liar, asked him a question, testing him and saying, Teacher, Rabbi, which is the greatest commandment of the law? Yahweh said, Yahweh talking, you will love Yahweh, your mighty one, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. Quoting Moshe, this is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. He didn't say the 613th. He just said 2. You will love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. On the transfiguration, Yahweh was in the middle of the law and the prophets. So what he's saying is, keep it simple, saints. And to the Pharisees and the scribes, keep it simple, stupid ones. Love me and love your neighbor. So forget all that 613. You search the scriptures. Forget all that because you get lost. And you're getting lost for the forest for the trees. 7 and 12. 7 and 12. I see my man looking at me here. So 7 and 12. 7 and 12. There, Yahweh talking again. Therefore, whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them. Because this is the law and the prophets. It's the law and the prophets. Doing the golden rule. You call it the golden rule. Whatever I want y'all to be done to me, that's what I should do to you. If I don't mind you cussing me out, slapping me around, cheating on my wife, doing whatever, cheating me in business, then I should do it to you. If I don't like you doing that, then I shouldn't do it to you. See how can you get more simple than that? Eat from this tree, don't eat from that one. It's that simple. But people are still doing the same thing Mother Eve did, eating from the wrong tree. But you want to go and laugh at her. I would have done that. I would have done that. What? You're still not getting this right. You're still not keeping the golden rule. You're still treating me wrong. Matthew 11 and 30, that'll be my last one. Matthew 11, you still on social media, blasting and cursing out people. You're still talking about people on social media, and you think you're going to heaven. You go and keep on thinking that. 11:30. Thinking you know you all are. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I just thought I want to tell you, Yahweh says, what I'm telling you is not hard. You trying to get in with 613, that's what's hard. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. Next week I want to talk about the false Messiah. Yehoshua, we with you here. Share this, like this, support this. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be on you.
Daddies, them said all we do is to run away from the babies. Daddies, every day we do this and that. Them say we no be responsible. No be everybody there like that. It just be funny cause if man no there, if puppy no there, then what we get? If man